All right, what is up, guys? So this is a video sent to me from in a DM on Instagram, and it's funny. The guy sent me the DM. He was like, "Hey, you might want to check out this video." He said, "I think there's some things you'll agree with, some things you won't disagree with." Excuse me. Little did he know that it was a video on Coach David Marsh, which is who I learned from. So I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm probably going to agree with most of it." Obviously, I've tried to innovate on top of what he taught me with the things I learned from all the Olympic freestylers I swam with at UT. And obviously, he is the sprint architect of pretty much all modern sprinting, or the architect of the technique and the philosophy around sprinting that has created the success in modern sprinting since 2000. Thus, the architect of modern sprinting since 2000. So, this is the coach who told me, after I had won NCAAs, 38th in the world, told me, you don't know how to swim. He was right, taught me how to swim, taught me how to be powerful, and basically translate my dry land strength to my swim. So I'm excited to see, what's changed, what he used to say. We've got I might start calling it Whiteboard Wednesday. We'll see. I got a Friday session where I do the reactions, but those are not really getting traction. So we might be going Tuesday, last week technique on IG, last week IG technique, whatever it was, and then doing 2 sets of technique videos. I think that might be the way to go, because these ones, people seem to really, really like these ones. So, you gotta give the people what they want. So let's see what young David is talking about here. Looking like a youngster.
Component of an individual medley. It's the last stroke in that race where usually you're fairly tired and are having to swim home as well as you can on the last part. In our program's history, we've had a great tradition of freestylers, and really we're very, very proud of our sprinters and our middle distance swimmers, even up to the current day, where we had as many as 4 finalists in the 50 freestyle. We've had swimmers final in the 1650 and develop in all areas of the freestyle event. At Auburn, we take great pride in swimmers that have come in and developed, I guess the swimming world had put it, no names to no names. In many cases, a swimmer like Rada Owen came in as a junior national caliber swimmer and developed during her time into an Olympian. That pattern is something that is gained through developing efficiency, a comprehensive program where their strength, their technique, the mental part of their performing all comes together in a great moment.
It's annoying because I have to operate the soundboard and jump around. Let's just jump straight into let's try and see if we can find some drill work. I really kind of want to hear, let's hear what he talks about. I want to hear what he's going to say here.
Wanted to talk to you a little bit on deck about the freestyle before we took to the water and did drills and whatnot. First of all, in the freestyle stroke, what we're looking for is a narrow stroke. We want to swim from side to side. We want to cut the water like you're a knife cutting the water. Clearly, the example that works well with the athletes is to talk about a barge versus a speedboat. We want to be that speedboat, not the barge. Okay, so the body setup is critical. We want a straight line spine as much as possible, tipping the hips back, having the eyes look more down than forward in the stroke. This allows for the overall body to maintain a steady position throughout the stroke. That also allows for when a swimmer breathes to breathe in line with the spine so they're not taking their head off the spine. Any small movement, especially in freestyle where you're traveling as fast as you do in the stroke, makes a big difference in the water. I mean, when you're talking about the water is 773 times more dense than air. And as you go faster in the water, especially in the sprint freestyles, the resistance you incur is cubed. So
I want to talk about this real quick. The thing he just said about, and I'm sure some of y'all probably heard this, the spine talk, right? how you want to swim like there's a pole going through your spine. Sorry guys, I'm finally coming off my meds, you know, tapering off now, and I can feel like my skin, like the dead skin, I can feel it like shedding. So like my hands itch, my legs itch, because I can feel like the dead skin like irritating my fresh skin. It's really annoying, especially my palms. Itchy palms is a very weird sensation. But okay, so what he just said right there, right? That drill, we did a lot of that at Team Elite. This is the thing about what he just described, right? Is a lot of people want to swim like they have this pole running through their body, right? Their midline. And well, what happens is, especially when you demonstrate it on land, and this is actually in my last week on IG when I'm talking about the shoulders, how it's not just driving the shoulder forward, you have to pull the other one back. So when you only go with one side, you end up pivoting, right? So if I'm here, right, a lot of people think when they rotate, they're only rotating one side. So they pivot around this point because they forget that the other side needs to go back. So you do both at the same time. Now you're in that pole position. So it's not, oh, Jesus Christ. Brightness, I hope it's not too bad for you guys. So it's not just one side coming through. All right? The other side has to go back to actually make you roll around this pole. It's something, you know, wasn't explained to me, but once I started getting better at the drills, I realized like one day I was like, oh, I need to wrap, especially the feet. The feet will mess you up. They'll get you stuck, especially your ankles. They gotta wrap.
The faster you go, the more resistance you're going to get, the more elite you are, the more you need to pay attention to all your details. So let's start right now. Body setup. Next comes the legs. A driving 6-beat kick with each stroke. The kick is actually going to move side to side. Okay, it's not going to stay up and down. So a lot of your kicking should be on your side to mimic that movement. Moving to the upper body of the stroke, there's a new attitude, I believe, out there about the stroke begins with the overwater recovery, setting up a high elbow catch. That's certainly what I teach at Auburn University. And when we work on that, we're trying to get a bit of a swing motion to encourage not only body rotation, but to work with the core in proper timing. You can get incredible strength off of that with very little energy cost. So we swing over the top, set the high catch, and have the body move by the catch more so than pulling the hand through the catch.
So I have an old IG reel where Brett's talking about this. He's teaching this exact concept. This is kind of cool because obviously Brett is a disciple of the Auburn sprint philosophy. And he's explaining this concept to this guy. He's talking about like literally that exact like moving through the water like this. And he's like almost in the same way, but you could tell he was talking about like moving like past the hand through the rotation, like not even rotating past the hand, but using the rotation to move. It's like very like, if you watch a lot of martial arts movies, like especially IP Man, where it's all here in the protecting your vital organs, like that's what good freestyle reminds me of, IP Man. And, or it Master Ip. And just seeing him do that motion he just did right here.
Have the body.
Like, look at his hand. Like, he ain't doing a freestyle recovery. Like, it's like this. So, yeah, it's,
By.
I think, and this is the thing I think that's really cool about, I'm going to say being black, is the pop culture aspect of it. And even, I guess, hip hop culture is like a lot of inspiration in that shit comes from media, right? Like Dragon Ball Z, like, is like gospel to black people. And I remember, what's it, Denzel Curry has this song where he says something like, I turned into Broly, right? Like, so especially martial arts, right? Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like it's everywhere. So I think, and even like I remember, I had the early version of my shoulder connection. I have a guy throwing a haymaker as an example of how you're supposed to use your opposite shoulder to really pop that thing through. So it's just cool seeing how you can draw like the human movements and apply them to the swimming. But yeah, it was cool to see that because Brett does the exact same thing.
Catch more so than pulling the hand through the catch. So in freestyle, when we look at putting together the whole stroke, you have the legs, you have the arms, you have the timing of the stroke. That the differences in the stroke shouldn't be dramatic. For a 50 freestyle, for a 1650, there are some differences. Sprinter tends to pull a little deeper than a distance swimmer, but generally the body position, the way the arms are overall used, the legs are overall used, should be very consistent. Let's go to the water now with some drills.
I'm a huge believer in this. Once I started learning under David, you know, because at the time, right, this is like 2013. This is like, in my opinion, the height of the race club, right? And they had the 3 types of freestyle, right? You had shoulder driven, you had hip driven, and then you had the hybrid. Or the gallop, right? And actually, it may have been body driven. I forget. I don't think hybrid was a thing yet, actually. Hybrid wasn't a thing. Was it? We're just going to say it wasn't. I don't think it was at the time. Maybe it was. I don't remember. But I remember that body driven was like a 4th one. Because when Nathan Adrian was, you know, popping off, he would talk about how when he goes to switches to a straight arm, that it's body driven. He's using his whole body. And what David just said, I remember learning all these things. And then you see guys like Ian Thorpe, Sun Yang, Park Tae-won do the 400 and up events. And you realize that a lot of what they're doing is, right, so this would be like sprint, mid-D, right? You realize that a lot of what they're doing, I should say distance, is like they're doing middle distance swimming, but you see so much of this in there. So much of it, right? So I was like, okay, that's weird. And then David is really big on using your hips correctly, or I shouldn't say David. The swimmers under David, right? Madison Kennedy, I think I listed her as my 5th most favorite freestyler of all time. She taught me a lot of stuff about how to use your hips and connect to them and snap through it. And then even my own research, I remember there was this day I showed something to Coach Peter, who's at Bowles now. Shout out to Peter Verhoff. This thing I noticed Cesar Cielo doing where his like arm would like swing around his hand, but that was when he was finishing a stroke, and I brought it up, and I was able to connect those two together and be like, oh, okay, this is what Madison was talking about. And you know, learning all these things, I realized that this is the only one that exists. It's only body. The thing that makes a difference between distance swimming, or let's say endurance, versus sprinting is if it's a high elbow catch versus a vertical forearm. That's it. Because your chest muscles is where it's at. And the reason why I say that is because when you're pulling, like if I roll too early, my chest, right, my push-up pulls this in, it's trying to pull away because it makes so much power. So you have to be able to stabilize this through things. And the wider it gets, the less power, because your chest muscles engaged, you're able to make. So really, you're using all the same mechanics for power with your body, What changes is how you're pulling, the type of catch you make, and then how wide you use it. So yeah, so far I agree with everything he's saying. Surprise!
Going to first talk about the positions of the strokes. So for starters, we're going to talk about just her setting up the core of a stroke. The majority of your weight is in your core, so you want to establish that first before you add on arms or hands or any of the extremities. So let's watch Rada. What we're looking for here is most of Rada's head under the water, the skin of her suit on the surface, light kicking, and you can see there's nothing very high or very low in the water, in a very shallow surface of the water. Where we wanted to maintain the proper posture, and proper posture in freestyle is get this spine as straight as it can be. Raise the head slightly, drop the jaw back, establish a neutral position. That helps to establish that line that you're looking to maintain in freestyle and backstroke. In this case, on this event, she'll have her hands by her side, hands down, and she'll rotate from one side to the other side. As she rotates, it's a smooth movement. It's not a jerky movement, just having control. When she wants to breathe, she'll just rotate, turn her head just barely enough to get some air, and put it back. The shoulders transfer the energy from the
So we did a ton of floating with David Marsh. I tell this to like the kids I work with. So granted, like a lot of the stuff we did under David, I would say didn't have a drill progression with, and that's why I say I try to build like, you know, we have Brett, Mike Bottom, Dave Durden, who else? I think that's it for his direct lineage. And then me, like I want to be the one, you know, I want to be the successor, the heir apparent. And, you know, that's a big reason. You know, I guess I'm still a competitor deep down. That'll never die in me. So that's my new competition is these great established coaches. I want to be number one. I want, like if David had to crown somebody the successor of the Auburn sprint philosophy, it's going to be Dax Hill. Okay? So, I don't even know why I brought that up. But, oh yeah, the drill progression. So like a lot of this stuff I use, like this one. David, there's stuff with this he hasn't said. There's a lot of stuff, not a lot, but like some very crucial things that he had us doing. Because she's kind of using her kick to rotate herself. If you watch.
in the hip, drop it down on the center of the spine and rotate.
No, she's not. So so he cut some stuff out. He's not giving y'all all the juice. But usually the people who are using their kick, they like jerk through it. She's slipping through. So yeah, David didn't give away all the secrets. But yeah, there's extra stuff. There's extra stuff for sure. And you know, a lot of the stuff that David had us do was more about like learning to understand your body, whereas I've kind of just made it into straight up drill progressions. You still got to learn how to understand your body, right? To use the drill progressions correctly. But I remember that like swimming under David to a degree, and this isn't like a bad thing at all, but the amount of like not swimming you had to do to get to understand how to use your body was crazy. Like I've never done more not swimming in my life.
The other side, use gravity a little bit to her advantage, not have to muscle over, but have it happen smoothly.
You can see how she's like, so never mind, I guess he hadn't learned it yet, but you can see how she's like jerking through it. So David had us do a drill that goes before this to where you just like slip through it.
I'm going to have her do 12 kicks on each side. There's all kinds of transitions you can do. You can do 6 kicks and 6 kicks. In this case, is probably my favorite drill, if done right, is 12 kicks on each side, taking your time to really establish that time on your side. Opposite hand again, doesn't do any balancing. It stays right here, and then the transition is smooth. When the transition happens, we don't want her rising up or down or traveling east or west. Straight down the pool is what we're looking for in this drill. This is 12-12. As she transitions, she'll get her breath and then get her head back on her spine. Right back on her spine before she transitions over to the next stroke. You can see she's completely on her side, her shoulders and her hips. In freestyle, what we're looking for is to cut.
So David never had us do this. This is really cool. So I call this the attack position. So in your freestyle, there is one point that you're deliberately patient about achieving, right? So you don't rush your rotation, you don't rush your recovery. Like I would say sprint freestyle, as splashy and as mean and thrashy as it looks, is highly finesse, and there is one point where you are thrashing and being hyper aggressive, and it's called the attack position. When I explain to kids, I tell them think about a line on the prow. It's just very finesse, and then it, goes. So in the attack position, there's only, I'm not gonna say, let's just say one point, for argument's sake. There's one point where your body, we're just gonna go torso up, where you can rotate the arm in the water. So this is gonna be on the other side of the head. No, we can put it on this side of the head. Okay, this is the attack position. So it's the point where if you roll, only good things happen, right? So if you're swimming freestyle and you roll too early, you're dragging that bicep through the water, right? So you have to be able to recover on your side until you get about here. Now if I roll, I'm always fingertips in, right? Whereas I'm too early, biceps dragging. I'm too late, my pull timing is off. So I would say fingertips in the water. Like that's the drill we do. We literally put the fingertips in and then we roll. But obviously when you're actually swimming, you're not gonna wait that long unless you're doing straight on freestyle, because you have to wait till your hand is under your shoulder to go. But anyway, so it's where you can roll and you're guaranteed fingertips first, elbow second, shoulder last. And then on your pull side, it's when you can roll, right? If my hand's here, if I roll or twist, pushing water sideways. If I pull a little bit deeper, pushing water sideways. Deeper, pushing water sideways. As you can see, it gets narrower and narrower, narrower and narrower until I'm down here by my hips. This is the most narrow, and it's almost going straight back. So it's the point where I'm pulling myself forward, fingertips ready to attack, hand where I can rotate, and I'm going clean entry, and my hand can it's gonna predominantly push water back instead of pushing water sideways as my hand enters. So what's cool about this is I discovered this on my own. This after David taught me stuff and I moved back to Texas. The attack position was something I kind of created on my own time. Once I realized that the open recovery that he taught me, the purpose of it was, maybe the purpose, but a side effect purpose that he didn't explicitly tell me was that your biceps didn't drag. And it's cool here because I don't think we ever did this drill.
Right back on her spine.
But you can see.
When she transitions over to the next stroke.
Look at this. So this would be distance per stroke stuff. I don't like doing distance per stroke stuff in sprint teachings. So like we'll do this drill, the attack position drill with the hand at the side. I do like stacking the shoulders though, because it really helps you emphasize not rolling earlier because your body's on its side. So you kind of really hit your nervous system. But yeah, look, fingertips in, and she rolls. So yeah, I think that's really cool. Like that's literally the drill we do, except we'll go that, and then you go pull halfway through and then roll, and then we put them together halfway, fingertips in, roll, which also has implications from our fraction drill, like a 2/8 or 4/8, where the arm in front has to get fingertips in front quickly enough and at full speed where that hand's only going to go halfway through so that you can hit that attack position. And then you add the connection through your back, the connection through your hips, you're anchoring the catch so you're making that bounce and you can twist through it. Like all these things come together to make Auburn sprinting. Heir apparent.
Completely on her side, her shoulders and her hips. In freestyle, what we're looking for is to cut the water. We do not want to swim broad like this. This will disturb more water than this will. So we want her to transfer from here to here, spending as little time as possible actually on her front, on her chest. So that's what we're looking for in this drill, is to do drills that encourage swimmers to get comfortable with being on. Incorporate the 12 and 12 with a couple of real cycles to transition into more of a flow drill. Transition. Really important drills if done right, because they can tie the whole body in as well as involve a quality breathing pattern. What we teach in freestyle to breathe is as they rotate with the body, we don't want them to have to turn their head really at all. Ideally, just rotate and breathe on the water line, part of the mouth being in the water, one of the goggles in the water, so they're actually breathing with as much of their head in the water.
So for me personally, I don't think, Dave never mentioned this to me, what he's saying, but I would say watching a lot of video on Nathan Adrian and even hearing him talk about it when we were at the Olympic Training Center with the Cal guys, the breathing should be completely independent from your rotation. It should be your neck. And the reason why is because when that punch comes down, you want to be able to turn your head. Oh, geez, hold on, guys. I have my iPad open. Okay, so you want to be able to turn your head, which is that attack position, right? If you turn too early, right? So you got to get to that spot. Boom, I'm turning. It's going to naturally cause me to roll because my whole spine just went with my head. Boom, I'm breathing, and I can get my head back down, boom, in time to maintain my sprint freestyle with my head in alignment on every pull. And you can't do that. I mean, I'm sure you can, but it's a lot more, or you're gonna end up with a very short breath. And the goal is not a short breath or a quick breath. It's a long breath. You just move it further up in the sequence right before your hand would hit, so you can still take that long breath and then get it back down. So you just move the breath placement up earlier rather than breathe quicker.
As out of the water. As you swim faster, a pocket will form around your mouth and you get plenty of air. That's not a problem. But initially, you might swallow a little water, but you'll deal with that and recover and be all the better for it down the road. Plus, you stay a little hydrated that way. On this drill, our opposite arm's by our side, which allows for maximum rotation. If the hand was up, it would tend to keep her a little flatter. So you want that hand down. Have the breathing be bilateral as much as possible. Everything balanced in the sport of swimming. One side is to work on transitioning. You'll open up your hips and swing around rather than lifting and placing. It really incorporates a lot of what I like about the transition of the pieces of what we're looking for in a good freestyle. One is you establish a high catch, okay? While you're in the catch, you're on your side. You kick until the catch is in position. And then with your top arm, you throw the top straight over the catch position and have the transition of the movement of the arm, the body, and the switching be what generates the power. Ideally holding the arm in the stable place, having the body go by the arm, because that is, after all, what we're trying to do. We're not trying to pull.
I was just saying this is a very interesting thing he's saying, but let him finish first.
Freestyle. We're trying to set a catch and move our body by the hands. Okay? Rada's going to do the catch and throw here. Good. That's real good. Excellent. You can see how she's setting the catch and throwing over the top.
One thing I want y'all to observe, so I have this broken down with these explaining into, I think, 3 drills. But one thing I want y'all to observe right here is how her body lifts. The bouncing, right? People are kind of, I don't get the hate I get for it, I used to get for it, but I want you to see, observe the bouncing, observe it. Watch her body lift. It's not just going forward, it's lifting up and kind of pivoting past her anchor point.
Excellent. You can see how she's setting the catch and throwing over the top.
You can see that drive back right there. There's the attack position right there. You can see it clear as day. Her arms maybe it looks like it might be a little wide. And I don't really like swimming back here with your head down because it just rounds everything forward. David Marsh, at least since then, I know for sure he was talking about big chest with us. And this is how you know. So Brett Hawk, he would describe the open recovery as dry armpits. But that's how you know that the lift is occurring, right? Is that if the head's on the surface of the water and the shoulders about even with the heads, to be able to have your armpit stay dry that long means you have to be reaching underneath. Even if the shoulder's high, you have to be able to reach underneath your head position. That's nice. That's real nice. So I'm not surprised. I agree with everything he's saying so far. Like I said, there's some things that I would say he's added to what he said, and there's, what he's, created, I've added drill progressions to. Wow, the light, what is going on with the light? Oh, it's just me, too black. My bad, guys. I've added on to, right? So, wow, that is really me, isn't it? Sorry, guys, y'all are gonna deal with it. I'm trying to be relaxed. But that's the video. Shout out to David. Young man rumble, young man rumble. I only went through, I think, about less than, it's 34-minute video. I went through about 12 minutes and then we jumped to this section right here. So about 15 minutes of it. I'm gonna put the link to the video or the page. It's Endurance Adventurer. So I'm guessing this is probably a triathlete. Yeah. I'm going to put it in the caption, the description, to the title. And then in the description box below, I'll put the actual link to the video so you can go check it out for yourself. Guys, give David Marsh his credit, bro. I don't know. I'm not going to say that. I know the rumors of why people will be tripping on him, but you can't deny the fact, and that's the thing you can hear him say in the beginning, we pride ourselves, right? Like at UT, we pride ourselves in the 200 freestyle under Eddie, right? I'm sure under Bob Bowman, they pride themselves in the 200 IM and the 400 IM, right? Like it's like, we ain't losing this event, okay? So, we need to give these coaches their respect, their due, especially David. I think David doesn't get anywhere near enough love. I don't see how you can call Eddie the GOAT and not respect the mollywhopping that David put on Eddie in the 2000s. And then even with his coaching tree through Dave Durden, through Mike Bottom, and through Brett, all three who have beaten Eddie, ironically. Yeah, yeah. So, and four if you count David. And they did it through sprinting. Most of, the Olympics from the 2000 to 2021 Tokyo Games, I want to say it's half or just short of half of the 18 medals have been won by their guys, this philosophy. So when I say he's the godfather of modern sprinting, it's not without research. So, give Dave his flowers as you check this out. Go to his page, send him a DM, say Dak sent you, you're the GOAT of US sprinting, whatever, world sprinting. Go leave a comment on his page. What do they say? The first time a man gets his flowers is when he's in his coffin. So go show love, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure you hit that noti bell so you're notified whenever we drop a video. We do every day, not every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Please subscribe and follow us. Please hit that like button, help us get boosted in the algorithm so we can run over this swim game and get this good information, the next level, the future of swimming to the people who need it, and help them help people that they didn't even know they could help. We want to make sure that everybody has a chance to tap into their greatness. So once again, thanks for hanging out, guys. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.